this Friday night, of course, over at Waco ISD Stadium, they will be inducting LeRoy Coleman into the Waco ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. Very deserving honor for that man. I was talking to one of his sons, Carl, and I told him that I've been doing this for 20 years and you've been doing it for longer than that. And we would both say that Coach Coleman is probably the nicest man we've ever encountered doing this job.
No doubt. I was actually just doing a radio interview with Tom Barfield, and he asked me about Coach Coleman as well. And I said he belongs in the nice guy Hall of Fame. I mean, you know, and we know what they say about nice guys, the cliche, nice guys finish last. At the same time, LeRoy Coleman's football legacy stacks up there with a lot of people, you know. Really the last time University was good, you know, really good, was when he was coaching them, and coached some really good teams, had some great moments in the playoffs, and produced a fair amount of talent too. I mean, guys like LaDainian Tomlinson, Wayne Rogers, Parrish Cox, you know, guys that certainly in LT and Parrish's case went on to play in the NFL. You know, LaDainian's in the Hall of Fame. And I did say this on the radio as well. You know, think about LeRoy Coleman's legacy. He played high school football with Mean Joe Green, and he coached LaDainian Tomlinson, two guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's not bad guys to rub shoulders with.
Not at all, not at all. And you know, he's almost like kind of one of those low profile guys that you'd almost like to have a biography of him, because I was talking to his wife, Geraldine, this morning for the story. And I don't know how much I'll be able to use this in the story. It's one of those great details that you would have to make the whole story about this in a way. But, you know, she met Coach Coleman, I think in 1983, or they were married in 1983, and she met him, you know, before then, but he was already the head coach at University. And she said she was not a sports fan when she met him. And here's this man who's like just spending hours and hours and hours a week watching film, doing what coaches do. And what she told me was that after Coach Coleman got married, life got a lot easier for his assistant coaches, because before he got married, he would just watch film like endlessly. Like he would just be working on his team endlessly, you know? And he described to me, you know, and I asked him what some of the biggest differences were. And, you know, when he first started, he'd get one of these big projectors out and he'd put the film, and he told me they had to learn how to splice the film together. If you know how the film, when we were in kids, you know, sometimes it would just burn up, you know, so they'd have to learn how to splice it back together. He said when they got VHS, they thought that was the greatest thing in the world. They didn't have to splice the film back together anymore. And then he was talking about when his boys were young, they'd be sitting on his lap and he'd be there with the clicker and just going back and forth watching film. So it's just kind of old school thing you think of with coaches and watching film. And these days you just click a mouse and watch all the highlights and plays and film you want to. But that was a great image of him, and it was great talking to his wife about, you know, sort of his journey through coaching, and then kind of following up with him. I talked with Carl, his son. I'm going to try to give Kobe, his other son, a call. His son Kobe was quarterback in 2002, which is I'm kind of focusing on that team a little bit, because they went 8-5, went to the third round of the playoffs, and you know, they finished second in district and then beat number 8 ranked Terrell in the first round. And then the second round, they go play Palestine, Adrian Peterson's junior year, beat them, and then go on and they played Wiley in the third round and lost a close game against Wiley. And that was the end of that run. But I think since then, University has, I think, won one playoff game in, you know, the 19 years. And I texted you yesterday, you know, when Coach Coleman retired, they had 243 wins in program history as of the end of the 2007 season. As we sit here today, 4 weeks into 2021, they had 273 wins. So
yeah, they've had a dry spell for sure since Coach Coleman left. And, you know, they had a long losing streak, so that certainly didn't help their win total. But, you know, you mentioned the thing about that Geraldine said, where he might have started spending a little less time watching film once he got married and had kids and stuff. That doesn't really surprise me. One, that that he was that devoted to football before, but two, that he made that easy transition to becoming more of a family man. Because when I think of LeRoy Coleman, I think of a guy that invested so much in kids and just wanted to see them succeed in life, not just football. And I think if you talk to, his former players, they would all talk about the impact that, he made on their lives. And the other thing that just always will strike me about LeRoy Coleman is just that smile. Every time you see him, he's just like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right.
You can see him, 2 days in a row, and it would still be like, he hadn't seen you in 10 years, and how you doing, and I mean, that's just LeRoy Coleman. He's got a genuine heart of gold, and really happy for him, that he's getting this honor on Friday.
Yeah, I'll share another story. I don't think we can go too long on LeRoy Coleman. I mean, I think the material is there. It could just be the whole podcast, for that matter. But he's such a nice guy. In fact, he complimented my beard today, which nobody ever compliments my beard unless it's a waitress that wants a bigger tip. So he's such a nice guy that you think, how does this guy get these guys to play this nasty game of football and be the kind of brutes they need to be on the field some of the time, and Carl was telling me, this great thing that you can totally see and understand that, in practice, whenever, and Carl said he's taken this into his own coaching. In practice, sometimes, you jump on a kid, you're hard on a kid, you're all over a kid for all day during practice. And he said, whenever that would happen, Coach Coleman would make a point of, before that kid left the field house, going and saying something encouraging to him. And so that's kind of, you can see that dichotomy. Once he gets into business, he's going to be all about business. But then once the work is done, he's going to make sure that kid knows that he's cared about and cared for. So.
Yeah, that's to me, that's just the sign of a good leader, is someone who can offer that constructive criticism, because that's what it is. I mean, he's just wanting to make that kid better, and show him where he screwed up, and then, but before the end of the day, remind them, how much they mean to him, and the positive side of it, the productive side of it. So I think that's a great way to lead. And certainly he's still doing it as an assistant coach at La Vega, still, coaching some pretty dadgum good offensive lines these last few years. He loves, I'm sure he talked to you about this, but the gig that he's got right now, because all he does is show up and coach.
Yeah.